is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. North Dakota is in the green. Governor Doug Burgum announced plans today to change the statewide COVID-19 risk level to low. Starting at 8 a.m. Friday, the capacity in bars and restaurants increases to 80% with up to 300 patrons. Banquet, ballrooms, and event venues are recommended at 75% of room capacity. Governor Burgum says the state's 14-day positivity rate has decreased to 3%, the lowest since August. North Dakota ranked lowest among all the states for test positivity, and according to the CDC data tracker, the state also ranks first for getting the vaccine into arms. A North Dakota man has been charged with sex crimes against a 16-year-old just 2 weeks after police connected him to a brutal assault on the campus of Mayville State. 20-year-old Oliver Barker is charged with sexual assault of a minor, among other similar charges. Investigators found a sexual video of Barker and a 16-year-old girl while searching his phone. The victim said she didn't know she was being recorded and that she was in pain after the acts. A man has been charged in connection to a shooting at a Fargo apartment complex last weekend. Fargo police responded just before 10 a.m. on Sunday to a report of a shooting at the Arbors apartment complex. A 24-year-old woman went to the hospital with serious injuries. 28-year-old Jerome Kuhn was arrested in connection to the shooting. He's charged with attempted murder, reckless endangerment, tampering with evidence, unlawful possession of a firearm, and terrorizing. Fargo police say there are a number of people still at large involved with Sunday's shooting, and there is still a public safety risk. If you have any information about this incident, you're asked to call police at the number on your screen. And President Biden signed several executive orders today designed to fight climate change. We'll have the latest from Capitol Hill coming up in just a few minutes. Now, here's a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
Yeah, brutal air temperatures and wind chills once again for your day today. We saw wind chills approaching 40 below at times this morning, and Fargo, we're in the 20 to 30 below category as we began our day on this Wednesday. Now, for tonight, the wind chill area of concern has shrunk considerably as there's just more cloud cover across the area heading into the evening. But temperatures, hey, we hit 0 in Grand Forks and Thief River Falls as well. Still below 0 all day long in places like Baudette, Langdon, and Hallock. There's a look at that radar. Now, we do have clouds in most of our area, as confirmed here by our Sky Camera Network. From Fargo, Luther Family Ford, Hankinson, all the way up to Grand Forks. Clouds on every one of those. Those clouds, a blessing of sorts in the sense that they'll keep us from getting too cold too quickly. So slowly falling temperatures this evening as we head to bed to near 0. It looks like below 0 for many of us up in the Northern Valley as we continue that trend, but not dive bombing like we did the last couple of days. Coming up, we're going to have an update on the snow chances that we've been watching for you for the weekend ahead. And we have another system that will impact us next week, as a matter of fact, as we may be finding ourselves more in the line of a storm track. I'll have details in a little bit.
Keep coming.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hutch. A West Fargo contracting company is cleaning up after a fire this afternoon. Fire crews responded to Key Contracting just before 2 after a passing driver spotted smoke coming from the yard. When fire crews arrived on scene, they found a semi-cab that was fully engulfed in flames. The fire was close to a diesel fuel tank and the building, which concerned fire officials.
If the tank burns through, we end up having a larger fire that spreads. We approach these fires uphill, upwind, up smoke, making sure that we're not, if anything were to let go, we're not going to be in the area of it.
Fire officials don't know the cause of the fire yet, but they say that this type of semi has a fiberglass hood that can burn easily. No one was injured, but the truck is a total loss. Police are warning of a scam targeting the Fergus Falls area. Police say scammers are calling residents looking for donations on behalf of the department. The caller claims that it would be used to help with COVID relief and to address unrest between political groups. Police say they're not requesting donations, and they urge you to always do your research before giving money. Hospitals and clinics in Cass and Clay counties are releasing more details on their plan to allocate the COVID vaccine. Valley News Team's Brian Sherrod breaks it down for us.
Vaccine distribution continues throughout North Dakota and Minnesota. Our local hospitals and clinics provide a more local update so we can tell you about vaccine allocations closer to home. Now, Essentia began administering the COVID-19 vaccine to the public the week of January 19th. These vaccinations are for priority group 1B to include North Dakota residents or those established with a North Dakota primary care provider age 75 and older. These vaccines are also given to the remaining healthcare workers in Priority Group 1A. Over a 3-day period, 1,330 doses have been given out. Essentia does anticipate their next allocation to arrive the second week of February. Staff is expecting 1,000 doses in that allocation. FargoCast Public Health typically receives information about their week's expected vaccination allocations on Tuesdays. Currently, the North Dakota Department of Health is allocating the vaccine to enrolled providers on a 3-week rotation. The most recent allocation on the week of January 25th was 1,475 doses. Well, Clay County Public Health typically receives their vaccine every Wednesday. This is used to schedule clinics with the vaccine. This clinic has provided 500 vaccines so far this week and is expected to do 450 doses on Thursday. Over 1,000 doses have been administered, with close numbers expected this week. The focus is still on Priority Group 1A, which is huge in Clay County. Now, Essentia Health is collaborating with Clay County Public Health to vaccinate the Moorhead and Clay County patients. The first Moorhead clinic is this week. Essentia will continue to work with Clay County Public Health to develop ongoing vaccine clinics for their patients. Brian Sherrod, Valley News Live.
Valley News Live did reach out to Sanford for an update on their vaccine allocation, but they haven't responded. Coming up on Valley News Live at 6, we'll have an update on the vaccine status in the Northern Valley. Get the latest on the coronavirus vaccine with the new VNL Vaccine Tracker. You can access local and national resources in just 2 easy steps. Open your phone camera and point it at the QR code right there on your screen. Then just tap the link that pops up. President Biden's administration held its first COVID-19 press briefing today. The briefing featured the administration's new team of medical experts as the country battles its deadliest month yet in the pandemic. It was held virtually and focused on science-based data, giving a substantial look at how the new administration plans to inform the public about the coronavirus. On Monday, President Biden announced a slew of efforts aimed at increasing supplies and boosting the distribution of the COVID vaccine.
Heard from the president this week. He is pushing us to view 1 million per day as the floor, not the ceiling. To that end, we are releasing more supply, activating FEMA, and deploying many more personnel.
During the briefing, the director of the CDC said the variants seem to spread more easily, which can lead to an increased number of cases. Today, President Biden laid out his agenda on climate change, another series of executive actions aimed at elevating climate as a top national security and foreign policy issue. The president's plans are already getting opposition from members of Congress and the oil and gas industry. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
Today is Climate Day at the White House.
President Biden, who's called climate change one of the top 4 pressing challenges of the time, signed executive actions making it a top priority of his administration.
It's a whole-of-government approach. Put climate change at the center of our domestic, national security, and foreign policy.
The actions include setting goals to conserve 30% of federal land and water by 2030, as well as steps to double renewable energy production from offshore winds. It also directs the Secretary of Interior to freeze new oil and natural gas leases on public lands and offshore waters to the extent possible.
We're not going to ban fracking. We'll protect jobs and grow jobs.
The oil and gas industry has been critical of the president's climate plans, with the American Petroleum Institute charging it could lead to more dependence on foreign energy and job loss. Those concerns were echoed on Capitol Hill at the confirmation hearing for Energy Secretary nominee Jennifer Granholm.
A long-term ban is going to cut revenues to New Mexico and Wyoming by hundreds of millions of dollars.
The licenses that currently are operating are not going to be disrupted.
Members of the president's climate team say their focus is on creating the jobs of the future.
We can build that demand. We can actually grow significantly millions of clean energy jobs.
On the foreign policy front, the president is planning to host a World Leaders Climate Summit on Earth Day. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
And earlier today, Secretary of State Tony Blinken got to work after being sworn in by Vice President Kamala Harris. In an address to State Department employees, he promised the U.S. would lead on climate change and other pressing issues such as the pandemic and global security. The FBI has identified more than 400 suspects in the deadly riots at the U.S. Capitol building. That's according to the latest numbers disclosed by the Justice Department Tuesday. Officials say more than 150 criminal cases have been filed so far. Charges include unauthorized access, theft, damage to government property, and assaulting police. And a shocking admission from the Capitol Police.
In the Northern Valley. We warmed a bit in the south. Here's a look at some of the coldest temperatures this morning, 30s below in the Northern Valley. Your hour-by-hour forecast shows some improvement. I'll have details on that and some flaky weather next.